What is up, everybody? It's Lulu the Jester here, and I'm excited. I'm really happy to finally be talking about the Battlefield 6 launch with you guys. Anyways, today we're going to be going over some advanced tips and settings that I think a lot of people would benefit from. There are some things that I'm like, these should have been like default setting options, I feel like, and things like that. Like we'll talk about a compass, we'll talk about a compass option that I find really helpful. But let's get started off and go over here to our settings. Now, the first one is going to be dealing with vehicles. That is going to be based off of the helicopter control assist. Now, helicopter control assist are already set to off by default. However, if you do turn it on, just understand and remember this. With it on, your helicopter will automatically hover when you aren't pushing anything on the directional, or when you aren't pushing a direction, basically. The problem with that, however, is that obviously if you do that, you don't have full control over your helicopter's movements, and this can actually be more of a detriment than it can be a benefit. So I would recommend making sure that this is on only if you really aren't great with the vehicles and you're just starting out and you kind of just want to play around. You don't really want to get that great. If you do plan to actually learn how to properly be dexterous with these controls with the helicopter, you need to make sure to have this off. Another thing that I would also recommend when it comes to vehicles actually is turning on decouple tank turret aiming from turning. So basically the problem with this is that technically, if you turn your tank, your turret or your crosshair will be wherever you actually turn. So instead of properly looking where you want to, independently of which way you're moving, you're actually going to turn your crosshair in the same direction that you're moving. So this I would turn on. That way you actually, once again, have proper control of your tank. You can properly aim, you can properly move. Sometimes you're gonna have to sometimes you have to maneuver your tank in a different position than where you're looking, and the only way that you can do that actually properly is by turning off the decoupled tank turret. Something else that I actually found really useful. So if you go here to gameplay and you go to hold/toggle settings, you have a couple of different options. The one that I would recommend changing personally is the request revive. So if you have this on toggle, basically you don't have to hold the button the entire time. When you're down on the ground, you can just press the button. This makes it really easy to, be able to look around while you're on the ground and stuff like that if you want to like be spotting enemies while you are down. And it also makes it a lot less stressful and you get a lot less fatigue on your fingers because you're not holding the button the entire time while you're waiting for someone to hopefully revive you. Another thing that I would recommend changing is your interact and reload option. So if you select whichever one, you can not only select which one changes depending on like if you tap or hold. I wouldn't change that just because that can kind of mess up your muscle memory on what you need to do, and you don't want to have to be like holding a button when you meant to tap it and all that kind of stuff. So what I would recommend, depending on what kind of player you are, if you're more of like a support player, you might want to leave it on prioritize interact, just so you can like make sure you always go for revives. But otherwise, I would recommend putting it on prioritize reload, because this way, whenever you press X, as long as you do it intentionally, you should always reload over anything else. If you're looking directly at a kit and you want to swap, your stuff, it works completely fine. If you're looking at a teammate and you want to drag them for the revive, that works completely fine. But what this does is it makes sure that, say if you're in the heat of the moment and you're kind of just tapping or pressing buttons and you're moving a little too quickly, this will make sure you always do a reload over whatever other interactable. Once again, if you want to prioritize your interact, leave it on prioritize interact. That way you can swap weapons, you can open things, you can grab things, whatever you need to do. However, me personally, I leave it on prioritize reload. All right, if we hop over to the graphics section, so my field of view, I play on 103. Field of view can be kind of more of like a personal preference. I do recommend bumping it up above 90 though, just to give you that increased field of view. Most PC players are going to be doing it. Controller players, you have no reason not to. weapon motion blur, turn all the way down. You don't need to see it. It's not going to really help you see anything. Stylistically, it can look good sometimes, but most of the time it's just going to distract you. Same with world motion blur and camera shake amount. Once again, these are all kind of like more of like cinematic things that you don't really need if you're trying to actually be competitive, or if you want to, you know, just be able to focus on the actual game itself. Chromatic aberration, vignette, film grain, all those also, once again, they're just kind of more cinematic stuff. They're lens and you know, filtered based things. You don't really need them. They don't add anything. They don't ruin your visuals. They don't make the game look better by having them on. Honestly, they kind of look, the game looks a lot cleaner with them off, actually. Same thing with the motion blur. Everything just looks cleaner with it off, and so I would recommend just turning all of those things all the way down as much as you can, or turning them off. Another thing you might want to check out is this soldier visibility filter. So soldier visibility, basically it's like realistic or not on the lighting, and so with it on, you will have things like more rim lighting on characters, and you know, just your visibility will be better. However, if you want to have the game be more like, you know, like things look more realistic on soldiers, obviously you would turn the filter off. The only problem with that will be, once again, you will lose visibility on people just a little bit. So this is a very, very much personal preference thing. I wouldn't change this unless you are, you know, maybe going for more cinematic shots, maybe like no HUD gameplay or things like that. If you're trying to show off the beauty, that might be a bit better, but otherwise, leave it on, trust me. Something else under our graphics settings that we might want to change are our crosshairs and indicators. Personally, I like to change my hit indicators. So for example, with hit and headshot color, I usually don't have them the same. Headshot color, actually, I turn to like a yellow or something like that. Something that's very noticeable, and like you immediately know, like, all right, I definitely got a headshot on that. So like I usually run like a brighter yellow or something like that, just to make that very, very obvious. Hit indicator, that could be whatever color you personally want. White is fine. Kill color, it depends on what kind of person you are. A lot of people like to use red is dead. I think red is dead is a good option. If not red, then black. Black is blackout. You know, black is done. If you get black hit marker, that means you know they're kaputs. Personally, we'll just do it for red though. Armor soft hit and armor hard hit, I don't think that you necessarily need to change those, because let's be honest, I don't know about you. Actually, these might be more based off of the battle royale. So these I might change at a later point. For hit indicator, let's just go something a little different. Let's go with like kind of green. Green is good. If we getting green shots, we getting good. If we getting yellow, we got real good. If we got red, red is dead. The next thing that I want to show you guys how to do is to turn on your in-game compass. Why this is off, or actually I don't know if this is off, they might have changed it, but basically you want to go to your advanced settings under graphics and under interface and HUD, all the way there at the bottom. Here you can change things like, for example, kill feed if you want squad nearby. I personally think this is a preference thing. I think I like this mostly on all, just because that way you have all of the information that you need. This one, you know, you don't really have to change it all too much. It's just kind of dependent on what you want. Okay, good. They did change it for the base game. So originally the compass was not on for some reason. I don't know why, but in the beta at least it wasn't. This way you'll have the compass and oh, it also displays spotted enemies. You can turn that off if you want to. However, now that they've added that, you know where to find it. If for some reason you do want to turn it off, if you want to, you know, make your HUD a little bit cleaner. While we're here, I would show you interior zoom. So when you're in a building, if you turn interior zoom on, I think actually this is kind of like a good smart thing to do. Basically, when you're in an interior area or you're inside of a building, the mini map itself will zoom in more so that you're able to kind of see a little bit more where you're personally at. Now, this obviously is a detriment in the sense that you won't see as much on the mini map on the outside areas, but if you're trying to like kind of focus where you're at, interior zoom might be something that you want to mess with. Personally, I'm going to turn it on just to see. I haven't actually played with it yet, but I thought you guys just might want to know. Another thing, this is for my console players, PlayStation, Xbox, or if you're playing with a controller. Mouse and keyboard doesn't have to worry about this because they don't have the option for it. But if you go to your control schemes and you go all the way down to the bottom and you go to controller tuning, here you can control or you can turn down your dead zones. So I have already turned down my dead zones all the way. That way, as soon as I pull the trigger, boom, it goes off. As soon as I press the left trigger, I'm aimed down sights. As soon as I press the right trigger, I'm shooting. Just puts down as much downtime in between your trigger presses as possible. Kind of helps a little bit with, if you want to do more of like trigger finger type stuff where you're trying to rapid fire, anything like that, you want your dead zones as low as possible. All right, well, now that we've gone over some more of the actual settings, I'm going to give you a couple of tips here that are a bit more gameplay based. So if you go over to your weapons, you'll notice something. All sniper rifles, most sniper rifles have a higher headshot multiplier than your regular weapons. Shotguns actually have even a lower headshot multiplier, but usually most weapons will have a 1.34 headshot multiplier. As you see, LMGs, SMGs, carbines all have a 1.34. Sniper rifles sometimes will have a 1.75. Sniper rifles will have a 1.75, and DMRs will go between 1.34 and 1.5. However, if you have the option, for example, if you're playing engineer and you're using an SMG, always try to take the hollow point or whatever the increased headshot damage attachment is. It sends our headshot damage multiplier from 1.34 to 1.5. The reason that you want to do this is because headshots matter in this game. Headshots matter in all Battlefield games, and they can be the difference between putting an enemy down quicker or not. But for the most part, you want to always be able to grab the hollow points. If you can fit it into your points, fit it into your points. I know the point system at the moment is kind of like certain things I feel like need to be lowered and certain things I need to be higher, but if you always have the option to take it, you're trying to figure out where to fit these last 20 points, always take the hollow point. Now, speaking of weapons, if you are playing the support and you happen to have an LMG, or if you happen to have any like higher capacity weapon, something you want to do, suppress people. I know it sounds weird, but if you know that you're not going to be able to get a kill on like a group of enemies or something like that, just dump bullets into and near them. Suppression not only will, cause people's screens to mess up and stuff like that, but also, if you guys don't notice, suppression also stops passive healing. If you're on a bag, you don't get your heals. If you have your passive healing activated after you've been out of combat long enough and someone suppresses you, you don't finish healing all the way up. If you have your class active ability active and you're resupplying and healing nearby enemies and you get suppressed or your friendlies get suppressed, that passive will stop working for them. So actually suppressing enemies when you have an LMG or once again a higher capacity mag weapon actually is very effective in this game. It's not just, spreading Vaseline all over somebody's screen. Remember how I said when you're downed? So when you're down, don't forget to still spot stuff. But yeah, in this situation, for example, just because you're down does not mean that you should stop spotting. It doesn't mean you can't stop giving, intel to teammates and stuff like that. Honestly, it's funny. This is how a lot of people finished one of the missions from the beta, because literally all you were doing was having to spot people with the support or with the sniper class. And honestly, my last piece of advice, just take your time. Like, remember, this game moves a lot quicker than some of the other Battlefields have in the past, yes, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't still try to do, methodical and purposeful movements. You don't need to run around every corner. Check, wait, see, like that. I had the option to push that, but I knew that there was another person there, and I figured, why would I do that when I could be safer and just wait for them to move? Keep aiming down sights. Things like that will make the difference between you having to respawn or getting the flank off. One of the things that you always have to remember in games like this, and there's a reason that the saying exists in real life, but trust me, just slow down, because slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you are slow and methodical, you can be a lot more precise. The more you can be precise, the quicker you can be. Anyways, I appreciate anybody and everybody who came on through to the video. Please like and subscribe, comment down below. Battlefield 6 is finally here, and you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We are gonna go hard on this game. It's been a while since we've had a new Battlefield to like really enjoy like this, and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. Anyways, I'm gonna keep playing now. Peace and chicken grease. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.